Hi, Heartroom friends. Today, this is our Writer's Workshop lesson number 3. And today we're going to talk about revision. Let's go ahead and take a look at our narrative checklist. When we write a narrative story or a story about our life, we have a little checklist that we use to help keep us focused. Let's take a look at that together. So when we're writing narrative stories or stories about our lives, first we want to think of an idea, a thing that you do, or a thing that happened to you. And we're going to plan. We're going to plan our story by touch and telling our story across the pages, 3 or more pages. And then we're going to sketch across the pages so we remember what we want to say. Then we write. And today I want to talk to you about a new thing, revision. It says revise. So writers always revise their writing. They always read it and go back to it and check to make sure everything is there. So these are some things that we're going to be checking for. Just like when we interview people who come to our Zoom room for a mystery reader, we ask them who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. You're also going to ask yourself that and make sure you have all those pieces answered in your story. So today we're going to work on revising our stories. And we're going to be making sure that we talk about in our story who is in the story, what's happening in the story, where is the story taking place, when is the story happening, and how is the story happening. So let's take a look at a story that I wrote that you are very familiar with. I wrote a story about when Teacher Mark was our mystery reader. Let's read it together. One day, Teacher Mark was going to be a mystery reader. I was so excited to see his name that I let him into our meeting right away. The kids were surprised to see Mark show up without any clues first. Let's check and see if I have my who, what, when, where, why, and how questions answered. Did I say who was in the story? I did. I said Teacher Mark, myself, and you guys were in the story. Did I say what happened? I did. I said I was so excited that Teacher Mark was coming to be our mystery reader that I let him into the meeting right away without asking him the clues first. Did I say where the story took place? I don't think I did. Nobody knows whether it was on Zoom or whether it was actually at our school. So I need to add that to my story. Where? Did I say when it happened? I did say one day. I can get more specific about when my story happened. And did I say how it happened? I didn't really finish my story to say what happened after I let him into our Zoom room. Let's go back and let's add the missing pieces, the where, when, and how. So let's take a look and see where I can add those. One day, ooh, you know what? Right there, I can go ahead and I can add a special mark that is called a caret, and it looks like a big arrow pointing up. And that's what I use when I want to squeeze more words in. I forgot a word, I've already written my whole story, I'm not going to erase my story. I can add this caret in, and it's a revision mark. When you're revising, which is what we're working on today, I'll show you our checklist. When you're revising, we have special marks that we use to go back and add things or take things away from our story. So I can use this caret, and instead of just saying one day, I can say one day 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and I'm just squeezing it in there, right on top. One day, 2 weeks ago, Teacher Mark was going to be a mystery reader. I was so excited to see his name that I let him into our meeting right away. Where was the meeting? On Zoom. So I'm actually going to erase this punctuation mark. I'm going to erase my period, and I'm going to write on Zoom. I was so excited to see his name that I let him into our meeting right away on Zoom. The kids were surprised to see Mark show up without any clues first. I didn't finish and actually see what happened after I let him in. We were all laughing because I think you guys were laughing too. So I'm going to write that. We were all laughing to, oh, I don't have room for my word together, so I'm going to put a dash there. Together. I'm going to put another exciting exclamation point because that was really an exciting thing. We were all laughing together. Then what happened? Mark read his story, right? Then Mark read us his, and it was a special story. Do you remember? It was a Halloween story. His Halloween story. Okay, let's go back now and see if I answered my who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. One day, 2 weeks ago, Teacher Mark was going to be a mystery reader. I was so excited to see his name that I let him into our meeting right away on Zoom. I was very specific there. The kids were surprised to see Mark show up without any clues first. We were all laughing together. Then Mark read us his Halloween story. Do you see how, because I added more details, it has a really nice sound to it? You know specifically where we are on Zoom. You know exactly what happened after I let him into the meeting. Before I just said I let him into the meeting, and now I know what happened afterwards. So today you have a choice, boys and girls. I'm going to give you a choice. I love choices too. Everybody is going to work on revising their story, but I want everybody today to make sure that when they're going to a story, they're answering these questions. Make sure you're telling us who is in your story. Make sure you're telling us what happened in your story. Make sure you're telling us where your story took place. Make sure you're telling us when your story happened and how your story happened. So your choice today is I'm going to let you choose whether you want to go back to an old story and revise it. Just like I did, you can go back to an old story and add more about who was in it, what, where, when, or how. Or you can pick a new idea off of your idea chart and start your writing. Start by touching and telling and sketching your writing across 3 pages and making sure you have all these parts. So once again, your choices are to go back to an old story, read it, revise it, and make sure you have all of these parts. Or you can go to your idea chart that looks like a sun, and you can pick out a new idea and write about that idea. Remember to touch each page, telling your story over 3 pages. Remember to tell your story as you touch the pages. Remember to sketch on each page what's going to happen, then go back and add your words. I can't wait to hear your stories on Monday.